Okay, now we have a little bit more difficult type problem, and one thing I really try to stress with my students is that this is a term. There's addition going on. Subtraction is the same as addition. This is a separate term, and we can't combine those until we distribute. In other words, this chunk here, we're taking this, we're subtracting this chunk, whatever this chunk ends up being, we're going to subtract it, because this is going to melt down. If somebody told us what y was equal to, this would all melt down to some number, and then we would subtract whatever that melted down to. So it's really important that you understand you can't cross this line. That's addition. Subtraction, same thing. That separates this stuff, which is all multiplication here. So these multiplying situations, the distribution, need to take place before we can cross that line. So the game plan is actually quite simple. We're going to distribute first. Negative times a negative makes a positive. Y times y is y squared. That takes care of that term. Negative times a positive is a negative. 7 times y is 7y. Next we're going to do this times that. That's negative times a positive is a negative. 2 times y is 2y. And then we're going to take that across to there. Negative and a positive makes a negative. Y times y is y squared. So that basically gets rid of all the parentheses, which was the multiplication. You really have to understand that this is being multiplied times each one of those. So multiplication had to happen first before we could do all this addition. Now we've got these different terms that can actually be put together because the multiplication part is done. And let's combine these like terms here. And so negative 7y and a minus 2y, so we have a negative 9y. That's what those two become, and I'm going to write it over here to the left. And then we have plus y squared and a minus y squared. Here are some more like terms. The y squareds are like terms. So we have a plus 1, there's an understood 1, and a minus 1. And so they are basically going to end up being a 0 y squared, which we don't really have to write that. But just to make sure that you see what's happening, why that can just be annihilated is because a plus 1 and a minus 1 make a 0, and 0 times y squared is just going to, anything times 0 is 0. So all that's going to basically become 0, and this would be our answer right here, negative 9y. So that's how we're doing this. Basically, it's two distribution problems right next to each other, subtracting between the two. So it causes all these like terms to happen. So we're doing distribution and combining like terms as a result of the distribution.